In Malay, please. Salam sejahtera Tuan Speaker dan anggota-anggota Parlimen yang saya hormati. Saya amat gembira kerana dapat ucapan pertama saya di Parlimen dalam bahasa kebangsaan kita. Hari ini saya akan menyentuh tentang isu kesihatan mental dan langkah-langkah yang boleh kita ambil sebagai satu masyarakat agar dapat memainkan peranan untuk saling menjaga dan membantu satu sama lain. Dalam usaha kita untuk menjaga kesihatan mental masyarakat Melayu Islam di Singapura, kita perlu mengakui kepercayaan tradisional, menggabungkan amalan moden dan mewujudkan perbincangan yang inklusif supaya setiap individu menerima sokongan tanpa menjejaskan nilai agama dan budaya. Namun, isu stigma dan salah faham tentang penyakit mental masih wujud walaupun pelbagai usaha telah dijalankan untuk mengubah pemikiran masyarakat. Langkah penting untuk mengurangkan stigma ini adalah dengan menggalakkan perbualan terbuka dan menyediakan perkhidmatan kesihatan mental bersepadu yang mudah diakses. Apabila kita berbincang dengan fikiran terbuka, saling menyokong dan menghormati latar agama dan budaya, kita pasti dapat memperkukuh kesihatan mental seluruh masyarakat kita. Saya akan merangkan lebih lanjut tentang bagaimana kita boleh bekerjasama sebagai satu masyarakat untuk mengingatkan kesihatan mental kita dalam ucapan bahasa Inggeris saya nanti. Terima kasih. Mr. Speaker, in Tamil, please. பொறிவாயில் ஐந்து வித்தான் பொய்தீர் ஒழுக்க நெறி நின்றார் நீடு வாழ்வார். திருக்குறளின் 6வது குறள். மெய், வாய், கண், மூக்கு, செவி ஆகிய 5 பொறிகளின் வழி பிறக்கும் தீய ஆசைகளை அழித்து ஒழுக்கி ஒழுக்கமான வாழ்வை வழிவகுத்தல் முக்கியம் என்பதே இக்குறளின் பொருள். இதை செய்வோர் நீண்ட காலம் வாழ்வார் என்பது திருவள்ளுவரின் கூற்று. ஒரு மனிதன் இந்த 5 பொறிகளை கட்டுப்படுத்த வேண்டுமானால் அவனுக்கு உடல் ஆரோக்கியம் இருந்தால் மட்டும் போதாது, மன ஆரோக்கியமும் இருக்க வேண்டும். ஆதலால் ஒரு நீண்ட திருப்திகரமான வாழ்வை வாழ்வதற்கு மன ஆரோக்கியம் ஒரு அத்தியாவசிய தேவை. இன்று மனநலம் உடல் நலத்திற்கு இணையான முக்கியத்துவத்தை பெறுகிறது. இருந்தாலும் கூட நம் இந்திய சமுதாயத்தில் மனநலத்தை பற்றி, மனநோய்களை பற்றி பேசும்பொழுது சிலருக்கு வெட்கமாக இருக்கின்றது. சில நேரங்களில் தடைப்பட்ட ஒரு தலைப்பாகவும் கருதப்படுகிறது. நாடளவில் இது ஒரு இக்கட்டான சூழலை உருவாக்கக்கூடும். மனச்சோர்வு, கவலை, தனிமை இவையெல்லாம் அமைதியான நோய்கள். வெளியில் தெரியாமல் இந்த மனநோய்கள் தாக்கம் பெருக பெருக ஒரு நாள் உயிரையே பறிக்கக்கூடும். எனவே ஒரு இணைந்த சமுதாயமாக நாம் செய்ய வேண்டியது தெளிவானவையே. முதலாவதாக இந்த பிரச்சனை நமது சமுதாயத்தில் இருக்கின்றது என்ற உண்மையை உணர்ந்து அதை நேருக்கு நேர் எதிர்கொள்வது. அடுத்து நமது குடும்பம், நட்பு வட்டங்களில் ஒருவரை ஒருவர் கவனித்து ஆதரவு வழங்குவது. மூன்றாவதாக தேவை இருக்குமாயின் மருத்துவர், ஆலோசகர் அல்லது சமூக வளங்களை நாடுவதில் தயக்கம் காட்டாமல் செயல்படுவது. மனநலம் குறித்து கேள்வி கேட்பதும் உதவி நாடுவதில் பலவீனம் அல்ல, அதுதான் தைரியம். மனநலத்தின் சுமையை யாரும் தனியாக சுமக்க வேண்டியதில்லை. இது நம் ஒன்றுபட்டு ஒரு சமுதாயமாக சுமக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு பாரம். நன்றி. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise in support of the motion and do so with gratitude to the residents of the West Coast, Jurong West GRC, especially those in Jurong Spring and Gekpo, who have given me the honor of serving them, and to my colleagues and mentors in the House who have guided me on this journey. The President in his address has urged us to make Singapore a place where every citizen can have a joyful and fulfilling life as they age. Joy, however, is not merely the ticking off of years on the calendar. The joy to someone could be seeing their grandchild take the first steps. To a parent, the joy of seeing children smiling, reading. The joy could be within the community when volunteers see someone get up from a fallen position. Now, joy is a quiet expression at times. To be joyful, health is important. Physical health is important, but mental health, it is indispensable. Without mental well-being, colors fade and the world's beauty becomes harder to see, even for the most positive of people. How long we live really depends on how well our mind can function. In this country, we are in the midst of reworking how health is understood and delivered. Health is often described as the complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Now, I must say much progress has been made in the frameworks where we promote physical health, as seen in the launch and the take-up of Healthier SG. Mental health also has rightly received attention in recent years. For example, we launched the National Mental Health and Wellbeing Strategy in 2023. With that, we aim to create an effective mental health ecosystem with accessible, high-quality clinical care and a supportive community. Yet, our frameworks for physical illnesses are clear. Now, mental health often presents hidden challenges. Now, let me explain further. Now, through Healthier SG, we screen widely for hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes. A simple blood pressure machine, you slap on a cuff, you see your reading above 150, you know that's a trigger for action, right? You would see a doctor to assess it further. Even if it's white coat hypertension, you're just the sort of guy who gets anxious when you seek medical attention. Similarly, you prick your finger and you see a glucose reading that is more than 15, you panic and you see a doctor. But mental health, members of the House, this is different. A person with early anxiety, with early depression, or perhaps with a hoarding disorder may not even realize that they have a problem. Let me share a story from Jurong Spring that has stayed with me. Now, not long ago, a resident noticed a food parcel hanging outside her neighbor's door for 3 days untouched. So she reached out to me, deeply worried for her neighbor. So with community partners and our agencies, we entered the unit and found not just an empty flat, but one filled wall to wall with decades of hoarded items, leaving only a narrow strip of path for me and my volunteers to walk. The only items that seemed sensible were a line of bottles, pepper, bottle of salt, condiments, and cooking oil, lined up side to side in the kitchen cabinet, as if the resident had to hold on to some sort of order in her life. This elderly resident, I came to realize, had a long history of anxiety and a hoarding disorder, and the only reason we were able to enter the home to see this state of affairs was because she was hospitalized and had not picked up the Meals on Wheels distribution that was hanging on her door for 3 days. Now, this story illustrates why mental health is different. It is not just the individual that suffers. Symptoms often are subtle, often noticed by family, friends, or neighbors, and sometimes too late. Families are left helpless, not knowing where to turn. Neighbors live in fear or discomfort. Entire communities feel the strain. Volunteers, grassroots leaders, social workers often become the first responders, and they too carry an emotional weight when doing so. So members of this House, unlike hypertension or diabetes or high cholesterol, where objective markers drive treatment, mental health conditions lack such clear triggers for action. If left unaddressed, they harm not just the individual, but also create what I call second victims. And we cannot allow that to happen. We must bring mental health treatment and screening upstream, just as we have done with chronic diseases. First, we can consider integrating mental health screening into a wider community health framework, just like what we have done with Healthier SG. Just as we screen for hypertension after we are 40, we can use simple, validated, point-of-fact questionnaires to pick up early depression or anxiety. In fact, today, you and I, we could go to healthhub.sg and just answer 9 simple questions from the patient health questionnaire to see whether we have early depression or anxiety. We could go to mindline.sg, interact with a chatbot to see how our mental well-being is like. But some in our community need that additional nudge. They need some barriers to be removed before they can take action. Second, just like how we do so in matters in the municipal, we should consider adopting a no wrong door policy when it comes to mental health or disorders. Often, mental health issues are multifaceted and require multi-agency coordination and intervention. We already today have CREST teams, social service agencies, and volunteer networks doing great work. A coordinated platform in our community will ensure that anyone knocking on the door will receive timely help and guidance. Third, we should nurture safe community spaces where residents and neighbors can share concerns and know that timely help will be available for those showing signs of distress. Now, this can eventually evolve into an ecosystem of trust that can sustain itself. And finally, I'm aware that such interventions do take a toll on manpower, can cause volunteer fatigue, so we should test this out in a phased and sandboxed manner, refining them with partners before we can scale nationwide. Just as hypertension, high cholesterol, and diabetes can debilitate, we must understand that so too can mental health conditions, and often more insidiously. Now, all of us want to remain healthy in our homes, not end up in hospitals. A life lost because of a misdiagnosis or an untreated mental health disorder is just one life too many. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to recall an adage from the medical profession which prescribes: to cure sometimes, to treat often, but to comfort always. Our aim should be not just to prevent illness, but to preserve dignity and to restore hope. Mental health, we know, is pervasive. Like the wind, we may not see it, but we feel its effect in the homes, in the blocks, and the communities that we serve in. Now, before we know it, a gentle breeze may become a storm. We need to own this problem before the problem owns us. Mr. Speaker, sir, I support the motion. Thank you very much.